Hi, let me try this again. Denise Dryden. I'm over here in Whitefish, Montana. And this is one of the parks that I wanted to always come down to when I got back to Montana and share it with you. Behind me is Big Mountain. This is Whitefish Lake. It's completely frozen, which is so cool because we get to see it from the middle of winter, even though it's almost at the end of March. So gives you an idea of how long winter sets in here in Montana. Standing in the shade because it's sorry, I was playing with my Wi-Fi always, it goes in and out. So today I want to talk about self-advocacy and self-advocacy as a parent, okay? So what happens when we are running our own lives and we're also in charge of a bunch of children, it could be 1, 2, 3, or a family, and we need to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of them, right? So self-advocacy. A couple weeks ago, I did something on self-advocacy, which is how to bring all of your big sense of being down into the size of a postage stamp, right? And to stand on it and to know that when you're completely present, when you're completely in your body, then you're advocating for yourself, and then you can then turn around and advocate for others, right? So what I want to do today is really build into this structure, sort of the reason why we self-advocate, right? So today, self-advocating it's really valuable. It's a form of leadership. It's how we lead. And when we're running a family, we're in full leadership. And we're also cultivating those that may step into management or leadership in the future. So it's like a really important tool to pass on. As parents, what happens is we can get overwhelmed and we can struggle and we can worry about what isn't happening, or we can just pull it on in and say, what am I doing to myself that's taking me off course, that's rocking me around and making it really difficult for me to focus. Thank you, Melody, for being online and being patient with all of this. When we hold a vision for what we're doing as a parent, we're learning how to be confident, self-aware adults, right? We're showing our children what a confident, self-aware adult looks like. We're teaching, guiding, and leading our children into confident, self-aware adults. So we're modeling to them all the time. This is what it looks like when I know who I am, and I know what I'm here for, and I know what's important. We explore collaboration, boundary setting, clear communication, and how to create change. Man, as parents, we're demonstrating how do you collaborate with another person when they want something and you want something, and how do you come together in the middle? How do we set boundaries, and how do we communicate? We consciously remove the victim energy from our bodies and from our family systems. This is crucial. It means that we're stepping out of things happen to me from the outside to standing in our own energy and saying, I am ready and equipped to be able to deal with whatever comes my way. It's a completely different mindset. And we empower our children and ourselves to be really good decision makers and communicators. This is awesome. If we can teach our children how to know what they want, know how to make a decision, and how to advocate for it, then we're setting them off into their future with a really good skill. Voltaire, who was a French Renaissance writer, he was a philosopher, and he kind of took on the Catholic Church. And what he said was a quote, "With great power comes great responsibility." It's a quote we've heard before. Winston Churchill used it in World War II when he was talking about motivating Great Britain in its battle against the Nazis and the Germans during World War II. And then my favorite one is it came from Uncle Ben, who was Peter Parker's uncle in Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. So here's something that came from the Age of Enlightenment, the Renaissance, and it came forward all the way into who we are right now as adults. And I'm going to use that and say that's why we do self-advocation, right? So I'm stepping somewhere. I've got to get somewhere where there is no shade because the sun is just way too bright. All right. As parents, we have these enormous opportunities, right? And we have these responsibilities that come with it. With enormous power comes responsibilities. As a parent, we're in the power spot. We're the one who makes all the decisions, who sets all the guidelines, mentors, and directs where we want our kids to go. We set a point out in the future and we say, this is what I want me to look like. This is what I want my child to feel like, look like, be like. And how do I get there without being attached and controlling, but allow all of this to move until we get to the point where we understand a lot of these skills. So when we are parents who self-advocate as a human being, let alone, with the responsibility of others, we're focused on self-awareness. And self-awareness can come up in a lot of different areas. Like, number one, what are my interests? What do I like to be? What do I like to do? Who am I? Oh, I've got a mountain biker coming by. What are my strengths? What are my kick-ass skills? The things that I know how to do better than anyone. What are my goals and what are my dreams? How do I know what my goal in his life, and how do I show my children what it takes to go after those dreams? What are my preferences? What do I like? What do I don't like? What works for me? What doesn't work for me? I can't read it, Melody. I'll have to respond later. Lifestyle, living, food choices, clothing, sleeping, how we nurture ourselves, how we take care of ourselves. What are our preferences? How do I know my needs? And then how do I advocate those and accommodate those needs in a family system where there's a lot of people needing a lot of different things? And what are my challenges? What are my blind spots? I think that's the most important thing, is what happens when I don't get what's not working with me and I'm sort of flailing around. We need to know ourselves first, and then we guide and we mentor and we lead from all of this self-advocating knowledge, right? So it plays out in a lot of different ways, and so I thought I would use an example of mine because I'm at the end of my parenting. My kids are grown; they're phenomenal adults, and it was not pretty sometimes. I'd have to say that because what I've learned is that I'm an extrovert. I'm a sensation-seeking sensitive. At my core, which means that I'm never going to look like a sensitive because I'm really out there, and I also like risks. However, I'm incredibly intuitive and empathic, and I have information coming in all the time that sets me off. I didn't even know this. I get amped up and easily overwhelmed. I used to hide it with anger and flurries of activity and micromanaging. That was how I dealt with not knowing how to be in control or feel so out of control with all of the things that were happening. Sometimes it was really hard to find my own dreams and goals. I'd get lost and I would get into the victim stance and I would get into blame. And sometimes I led my kids in balance and I taught them how to go outside, how to use nature as a rebalancer, how to advocate for myself, how to say, I'm tired, this is what I need, this is what my body needs. So I could do both, and luckily, I hope, I was able to do a lot more of the self-advocating later on. And sometimes, I admit it, I raised my kids from a disarrayed spot. I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know how to self-advocate, and that is a really big, important thing for me to be able to bring home to you now as parents. Because what we are doing is we're creating leaders for the future. And if we can continue to develop this kind of leadership with ourselves first and model it, then these are some of the skills, some of the really beautiful tools that we can use. So skills for self-advocacy, self-awareness, we've talked about that. Boundary setting, assertiveness. Not bossiness, assertiveness. This isn't working for me, so I need to change and do something different tonight. Negotiating. Man, renegotiating constantly with a toddler or a school-age kid or a teenager. These are important skills. Communication. Being able to communicate without anger, without resentment, without that edge or passive aggressiveness. Energy management. Knowing when you're triggered, when you're tired, when it's working, when it's not working. Listening. Oh my God, listening skills. How do you get quiet enough to watch your child and see what they're not saying in between all of the words? What their body's telling you, and then listen to their words and find out what is it behind their words that they're really saying. Management. It's always about management. Managing time, managing space, managing our body energy, managing others. Compromise. It's constantly about compromise. You may need to go do something at a certain time, and if you cannot get the rest of your family, or especially one really reactive kiddo out in the car, it's about compromise. So I may need to go late. I may need to reschedule. You may need to be really unhappy in the car, but screaming at me is not an option. Collaboration. How do we collaborate with our children on leadership, on who they are and who we are, and co-create? This is what I want. Everybody put examples of what you want to do out on the table, and we're going to collaborate and create a really fun afternoon based on trying to touch on something that everybody wants to do. Again, all of these skills go to that one core piece that I've learned over the last 3 years, which is presence. When I'm completely present in my body and I'm breathing, I'm listening, I'm assertive, I'm setting boundaries, I'm self-aware, I'm communicating, I'm aware of body language, I'm aware of collaboration. So when we do this from a state of presence as a parent, from a state of self-advocacy, we're confident and we're compassionate and we're fierce and we're gentle and we're soft and we're curious. And we create ownership of our life rather than let life take ownership of us. So what I want to do is close with, we're creating a generation of change makers. You know, we're living in a time when everything's shifting and changing. And our children need skills. And they need skills for collaboration. And they need skills for cooperation. And they need skills for self-advocacy. So it starts with us. And the way we model and lead this gives them an idea of what's possible in the future. So this is the kind of stuff that I do. I coach parents, I coach young adults, and I coach individuals. So if this is something you're interested in, let me know. Give me a call. My number's on my website. You can call me at DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. And have a fabulous Sunday and enjoy spring wherever you are or winter wherever you are. Take care. Bye-bye.